Okay, well, according to the comments of the last video, you guys don't seem to think I look very presentable on a YouTube video because of the hair, the beard, and my choice of clothing. I'm wearing a freaking Vandalite Industries t-shirt, for crying out loud. But I'm going to level with you guys. I'm going to change my appearance for this video just for you, and I'm going to be looking a lot more dignified, so I hope you guys are ready for this. Hello everybody, SlimKirby here. I have been sent down from Olympus to talk about Mario Party 2. So let's grab thy controller apparatus and get on with the game, so to speak.
Hello everybody, SlimKirby here and welcome to Mario Party 2 weekend. This weekend I'll be taking a look at the minigames and boards of Mario Party 2, which happens to be my favorite Mario Party game. The first Mario Party was an absolute classic that I fell in love with from the very start. When I heard that a second game was coming, I was so hyped for it that I just had to get the game at launch. The moment I got the game, for a long time I forgot that Mario Party 1 even existed, and I honestly owe it to the fact that Mario Party 2 was just so much more engaging with its boards and minigames, and just in general being a great extension of the original game. First up, we'll be taking a look at the minigames, and I have to admit, I had to do a bit of tinkering around with the list this time around. While Mario Party 2 does have a lot of new minigames, a lot of games from Mario Party 1 also make their reappearance as well. Some of them for the good, some of them for the bad. If the game made an appearance on either list in Mario Party 1, they will not appear this time around, but I will give a few special and honorable mentions to those that remain good and those that remain bad. Mario Party 2 also featured different types of minigames in the form of item, duel, and battle games. The battle games will appear on this list, but since the item and duel games are specific to their boards, they will be assessed in the board ranking videos tomorrow, not in the minigame videos today. Anyway, let's get started with, once again, the worst games. Honorable mentions. So before we get to the list, I do have some honorable mentions for the worst of list. Both Skateboard Scamper and Rainbow Run, which is a remake of Tightrope Treachery, were candidates for the worst of list. The same problems that plagued their Mario Party 1 equivalents plague them again in this game, but I do give props to Skateboard Scamper for at least trying a new type of scenery and some better obstacles to boot. Rainbow Run is pretty much the same though. I also want to mention Shy Guy Says, which actually made the best of list in Mario Party 1, but got significantly worse in this game due to the ridiculous timing of the Shy Guy in this version. However, even with this horrid change, it was still only 11th worst, not making this list anyway. Number 10. Bowser's Big Blast. Mario Party 2 started a trend that will continue to agitate me until the very end of the series. Luck-based frickin' minigames! Although there are some that can be enjoyable in their own right, like Day at the Races, in this game, Bowser's Big Blast, it just turns all of the competitors into nervous wrecks. Every cycle, one switch will be randomly selected to activate a giant Bowser bomb in the distance, and by a process of one at a time, all of the players must test the waters and see if they are lucky enough to avoid a huge explosion, with the last player remaining being the winner. What makes this even more annoying, though, is the fact that this is a battle game, not a normal free-for-all. So if you are one of the unlucky ones who manages to get 3rd or 4th, you will not be getting any of your coins back, which is kind of a slap in the face for those who go out first on a luck-based event. Number 9. Abandoned Ship. Skateboard Scamper may not be here, but its vertical cousin definitely is. When looking at the two games, I do like Skateboard Scamper a bit more than this version, but for the most part both games deal with the same issues of the fixed camera. After hitting a rock, the pirate ship you are on starts to sink into the briny deep, and now you all must race to the very top of the ship's mast. You must rapidly press the A button to climb, and while climbing, avoiding the wooden pillars and jumping fish to try to prevent your ascent by switching to the other side of the pole. Switching sides will actually keep you in place for a second or two, so you can't exactly dawdle or lag behind. However, all of these tips aren't exactly relevant because the real determining factor is at the very end of the game. Like in Skateboard Scamper, because the camera is in a fixed position as it scrolls up, you can't reach the top of the pole until a certain point. So if you manage to get all the way to the top before the camera is ready for you to finish, it will pull a "Can't let you do that, Star Fox" on you, allowing the other players to catch up and potentially steal a victory from you. How infuriating. Number 8. Bumper Balloon Cars. The reason why this game is one of the worst in Mario Party 2 is the sole fact that once you figure out the controls, the game is probably already over. And I'm not joking when I say that either. Every player takes control of a small vehicle that has a balloon on its back and a set of spikes on front, and your goal is to pop all of the other players' balloons. However, I am not kidding when I said balloon, as every player only has one balloon to spare. If that balloon gets popped, your game is over. What makes this annoying, though, is the arena is quite small and you control the car with the control stick. So while you are getting used to the car, there is a possibility that someone may have randomly decided to turn a specific way and pop your balloon before you even have a chance to defend yourself. Even more, if you bump into another player in a certain way, your car will turn around completely, leaving your balloon completely exposed to them. Aside from those negatives, it's actually kind of a fun game, but they give you very little time to actually enjoy it. I kind of wish the cars had more than one balloon, that way the game could go on for a bit longer and it gives some players the opportunity to learn the controls a bit better. But because it didn't, no wonder it's on this list. Number 7. Move to the music. The only reason this game is here is that it's a memory game that's not very memory intensive. One player is the dance master and must create a dance via a couple of controller inputs. After making this dance, the team of 3 must copy the exact dance the master did with the same exact inputs at the same exact time. If one of the team members makes a mistake, they are kicked out and the other members must finish the performance without them. If all 3 players are knocked out, the dance master wins, but if just one player from a team of 3 survives, the entire team wins. However, when it comes down to the memory aspect of this game, the team of 3 only needs to memorize one small cycle and one slightly larger cycle. So at most, 10 controller inputs, and not even all at once. This is ridiculously unfair to the single player unless they are, God forbid, playing against 3 boneheads. Of course, there is that possibility of someone screwing up that could throw the entire team off, but do you really want to depend on that game if that's almost the equivalent of repeating a 10-digit phone number? Number 6. Shop, Drop, or Roll. Well, if you thought Move to the Music was bad for the single player, this one decides to swap roles to the extreme. The team of 3 is standing on a giant cylinder that the solo player has the option to turn back and forth via the lever that rests on his or her platform. What lies below the cylinder? Devastating electricity that will give Peach a bad hair day for months. But assuming you aren't playing with the devil incarnate, or God forbid, don't want to lose this minigame, you better get moving, because if you drop, you're out. Like most 1 vs 3 games, the solo player's goal is to knock everyone out before time runs out, otherwise they lose. And yes, knocking out 2 of the 3 isn't enough, you've got to get all 3 of the players. So you better hope you aren't playing against someone who knows what the hell they are doing, because otherwise you're going to need to get a bit clever with how you move the cylinder. With that being said though, the team of 3 does have their work cut out for them though. The cylinder can move in either direction depending on what the solo player deems appropriate, which means they have the ability to fake you out and turn the cylinder in a very rapid, annoying fashion. So you are quite literally at the fiend's mercy for an entire 30 seconds. If someone manages to survive, good for the team, but it doesn't change the fact that this game is a nightmare to get in regulation. Number 5. Lava Tile Isle. I think a lot of people actually don't seem to mind this game, but for me there's just something about it that doesn't sparkle with me. Did I actually just say sparkle with me? Never mind. Anyway, your goal for this game is to be the last player surviving on a bunch of shifting platforms. In order to knock the other players off, you must punch them off their feet into the pit below, or into a position where they have a hard time recovering, or simply wait for them to make a mistake. The players can also jump around, but believe it or not, it's actually kind of a risky move to jump. If you land on another player's head, or in the vicinity of someone else, you may as well say goodbye, because you will either bounce yourself into your doom, or in range of another player's punch. What makes this kind of annoying is that the invincibility frames, after getting punched, aren't really well defined, and kind of awkward to deal with. So if you are clever, you can punch someone and immediately punch again as they are coming out of the frames, to knock them back in again before they even have a chance to react and punch themselves. Games like this get better in future Mario Party games, but this early edition was kind of a bust, at least in my opinion. Most of the time, this game seems to end up in a draw anyway, from 2 players who just keep punching back and forth, and running around the platforms until the timer hits 0. Number 4. Cake Factory. 2 vs 2 team games rarely seem to take a lot of heat in the Mario Party series. However, when it comes to Mario Party 2, there is one game that I just can't seem to get behind, and that one would be Cake Factory. 2 players must work together in order to build a cake, grabbing the 2 most vital pieces from the conveyor belt, 1 base and 1 strawberry. The base goes on the bottom and the strawberry on top. Any other way and the cake is declared unacceptable. So now that the objective is clear, the team that makes the most amount of cakes is the winner. Honestly, this is a game that I could normally get behind, but what makes this game so low on the list is the fact that the timing is completely chaotic. You must first grab the items from the conveyor belt, but getting the timing is so freaking important that if you miss your beat just once, getting back on track is actually kind of a chore, especially as the game gets faster and faster as the time continues ticking. When you miss an item, your character decides to flail their arms for a few seconds because it seems like a better idea than keeping your arms low to grab the next available piece. And if you have a human partner alongside you, chances are they aren't going to be making it any easier with their chatter about hurrying up. I just wish there was a bit more leniency for this game, as it would fix pretty much the only problem for a game that could actually be quite fun. It's just that the one problem can potentially ruin your experience for this game as a whole. Number 3. Mecha Marathon. Mario Party 2 perhaps corrected the almighty sin that was the control stick spinning minigames in Mario Party 1. What appeared in their place? Button mashing games! On the whole, I don't have a problem with button mashing games at all. In fact, I come into situations quite often where the results between me and another person fluctuate on a regular basis. However, Mecha Marathon is one of the few exceptions. Your goal for this game is to wind up the mechanical Shy Guy. You wind it up by pressing both the A button and the B button at the same time. Whoever manages to accomplish that feat the most amount of times will be the winner as they watch their Shy Guy fly to victory. My problem with this game is not so much the button mashing as it is the responsiveness of mashing both A and B simultaneously. Sometimes I wonder how and if the registration of the mashing is even being read properly, and I think it does start to show when looking at how random and fluctuating my results are from this minigame. On some occasions I can just barely hit the 20 line, while other times I get midway through the 30s, and there is quite a bit of distance between those two marks. Whether there is an issue with the controller response or not, even a player's own ability to keep up in a continuous motion like that, and continue to attain a good result in this game, is a feat that I just can't get behind. Number 2. Raking 'em In. When I first saw advertisements for Mario Party 2, Raking 'em In was the first game I took notice of, and the first game I was really excited to play. Looking at where the game is in this list now, you can probably see how disappointed I was. The goal for this game is to rake in as many mushrooms as possible in the time limit. There are normal mushrooms, gold mushrooms, and poison mushrooms, with the normals giving you 1 point, golds giving you 3 points, and the poison ones subtracting from your score. Seems like a pretty standard game at first, in terms of games you would and will see in future Mario Party games, but what sets this one on a much lower bar than all the others is the fact that the controls and timing are completely deplorable. The rake is slow as hell, so you pretty much have to time your mechanism in a second or two before you actually want to. And even then, because the platform is moving, you're going to have to pretty much leave it up to luck that you grab the mushroom and keep it caught on your rake long enough so that it falls into your basket. However, way much easier said than done. There are so many times where I grab the mushroom, get it pulled up right in front of my basket for my rake to reset, and the mushroom leading to a very easy grab for another player. It's just so frustrating and unreliable that I'd rather take a luck-based game like Bowser's Big Blast over this any day. It's just not a very fun one to play and is quite easily the worst battle game of Mario Party 2. But it's not quite the worst one overall. Number 1. Sneak and Snore. Mario Party 2 seems to have a running theme where the worst minigames seem to have the worst instances of timing and control over whatever you are doing. However, in most of those games, one slip-up can usually be salvageable. In this game, not so much. Your goal in this game is to sneak quietly to the red button on the bottom of the screen. Once you hit the button, the door behind you will open up and you can escape back to the way you came. The problem is that there is a sleeping Chain Chomp in the room, and the second he wakes up, you better hope you are hidden in the barrel, because he will store you in his snacking cabinet for later if he catches you. What makes this game frustrating and really annoying is the fact that in order to hide in the barrel, you have to let go of the control stick completely and immediately. No matter what though, I am so freaking convinced that there is some kind of delay or timing issue with this game, because my character still seems to want to move around when I let go of the stick, or at the very least, only go halfway into the barrel, which is not enough to hide from the chained beast. I'm not sure if there is some kind of trick to this game or not. I do know that once the Chain Chomp's bubble starts expanding fast, it's going to pop and he will wake up, so you have some kind of visual warning. But as far as the control stick handling, I'm at a major loss. I think the main problem is the N64 controller, because I don't seem to have as much of a problem with the Virtual Console port of this game. But even still, it's not that much of a guarantee, and because of how broken this game is for me, I just can't imagine any other game in this last position.
Those minigames sucked. They can go straight to Hades for all I care.
Now that we've gotten the bad out of the way, let's move on to the good minigames.